Welcome to the Great British Mickey Waffle, the podcast that brings you thoughts, experiences, and insights about Disney, with some very strong and a little varied British accents. I'm Ben, and coming up today's episode, we'll be catching up with friends of the show, Anna and Callum, who have recently returned from the most magical place on earth. Some of you may recall Anna from the Dibcast, the podcast that brought us all together at the Great British Mickey Waffle. As regular viewers of the show know, I'm not alone tonight. Claire and John are also joining me. I hope you're looking forward to the show as much as I am.
Absolutely,
Right.
definitely, 100%. We've got all the well-behaved people in the room together. It's going to be great.
Is that air quotes for that, Claire? Well behaved.
However you wish to put it, Ben, I wouldn't dream to comment.
Never has a naughty step been so so overpopulated already.
We haven't even started yet.
I know.
Oh dear.
Oh, dear.
Talking of the naughty step. Yeah. John, talking of the naughty step, Anna's also regularly in the chat on our Wafflers Wednesday live shows every week at 8:30 on our YouTube channel. I'm sure she just shows up to keep Claire in check.
And fails.
Very good job.
I think it's as well. It's like that Statler and Waldorf moment, isn't it? It's like once you know that Anna's in the chat, then Claire starts, and then suddenly the next thing I know is I'm reduced to absolutely giggles, and just it just kind of leads a Wednesday into complete disarray. So yeah.
Absolutely.
I think that's exactly how tonight's show is going to go.
I think you're the instant.
Good.
I hope so.
How it should be.
Don't know what they're talking about.
So, Anna, Callum, so when did you go to Walt Disney World?
So we travelled out on the 3rd of May and we stayed for 2 weeks. So we've been back about 11 days now, something like that. I don't know, it's far too long, to be honest. Maybe.
What are you planning to go back?
Honestly, I have been potentially pricing that up, obviously on my lunch break at work today, maybe looking at going back in September next year, fingers crossed. But obviously we're here to talk about this trip, not the next one just yet. But yeah, it's been a fair while. My last trip was in 2019, March of 2019, where I went with Mum, had an amazing time, and little did we know that would be the last trip for a fair while. So this one we booked July 2022.
Yeah.
And we're counting down the days, as you well know, because I kept reminding you all of how many days I had to go. I am, you guys know how much of a Disney fan I am, and that was a long wait and a long time coming. And I am pleased to tell you that it did not disappoint. We genuinely had one of the best trips I've ever had. Callum can't really. I mean, it was definitely the best trip Callum ever had, of course.
Obviously.
But I was a little bit worried. There was a time when I said to myself, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back until they get rid of wearing face masks, and I don't want to go back. All the time there are restrictions, and that was my excuse anyway. It was just because I had to save, to be honest. But it made me feel better. But there was a genuine thing, and I from the moment we got on the plane, but from the moment we landed, the magic is still there. It's still as special as it ever was. And honestly, I can't wait to go back. I hadn't forgotten how much I loved it, but I kind of had forgotten how much I loved it until we had to leave, and I may have cried when we had to take off, because I'd forgotten how special that place is to me. And we genuinely just had the most amazing time. So yeah, if anyone's worried about has the magic gone away, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I never will, I don't think.
What was the biggest thing that really struck you? I'm thinking back to, I'm on a similar time path. I've not been since 2019, and so much having happened. But for you, that time must have been, in a way, you go into self-preservation mode, which is quite normal, isn't it? Where you're thinking, oh, maybe it's not as good. Maybe it's not as good as I really think it used to be. And then suddenly, on your first day, what was it? What was your first park?
Magic Kingdom.
And how did that feel? Because that's the bit for me that I feel is the bit where you build it up in your mind for so long and for so many years, and then it suddenly becomes reality. Go on, tell us what it was like.
I genuinely thought I was having some sort of weird outer body experience. You know, when you're going through something and you feel like you're standing next to yourself, and I couldn't believe I knew I was there. I absolutely knew I was there. I've been up since 4 a.m. waiting to go. But I walked in. I couldn't believe it because it's something so unbelievably familiar. I've done it hundreds of times before, but it felt like a brand new time. It was a brand new time, but it just felt so different. But as soon as I walked under that train station, and you kind of, we took a right this time, and that first sort of glance of Cinderella Castle, and I just looked, and I remember looking at Callum, just going, I couldn't speak. I must have looked like the Cheshire Cat. I had a huge lump in my throat, and I know if anyone had asked me to speak at that moment, it wouldn't have happened. I couldn't believe I was there, but equally, it felt so familiar. It just felt like a massive warm hug, and I knew I was home. I knew I was exactly where I needed to be and wanted to be, and had wanted to be for so long, and had been counting down the days.
That's just amazing.
Honestly, John, I can't tell you how happy I was to go back. And actually, I had that very same feeling in all the parks. You know, when I first saw the Tree of Life on our second day, Claire, so it wasn't too far off our first day. But when I walked into Animal Kingdom, when I saw Spaceship Earth for the first time, when I walked into Hollywood Studios, I was genuinely taken back each time I went for the first time. I couldn't believe I was there. And I felt like that all the way until my last day. I just couldn't believe I was there.
Callum, did you think she'd gone absolutely stark raving bonkers the way that she was behaving? Or
no, because the funny thing is I know how much Disney means to Anna and how many times she'd been, and I knew such a big part of her life that when we actually, to be fair, when we first walked into the Magic Kingdom, as amazing it was walking around, and I looked up Main Street and saw Cinderella's castle, and it was amazing for me. What made it more better for me was the fact that I turned around and Anna just had this huge smile on her face, and it just felt good because that like she says, that's her home. She'd been there so many times. She's such a Disney fan and loves it, and it's such a big part of her life that it made it. I was happier seeing how happy she reacted to seeing everything again.
Yeah,
that's so cool. Did she make you skip up Main Street and dance up Main Street?
I did make him a soundtracks because you did do a whoop.
I am
Yay!
clumsy, and Anna had already pre-warned me multiple times about it, and I even said, "I warn you, I will do it now," and I actually did it.
You did.
Well, she wouldn't have had to make me dance or skip up Main Street. I would have happily done it all by myself, because I think there was points at the times that I just randomly started dancing. So I know there's a video of you got a video of me dancing through Pop Century
Mm-hmm.
when we were walking through the restaurant and everything. So I would have happily just danced without being told to dance.
Excellent. In terms of where you stayed, so let's go back to the hotel. You stayed at Pop?
I did.
First time you stayed there?
First time staying at Pop. Not my first time staying at Value. I've stayed at All Star Music before. And I've also done Old Key West as well. So I've kind of done sort of all levels, but we absolutely loved it. Really did. We knew for us, the hotel was just going to be a bit of a base, and I'm sure we've all read and seen vlogs that if that is what you're using it for, then a Value is probably the way to go if you're just using it to sleep and shower, which we were. However, I absolutely blooming loved it. The Skyliner, for me, who's not afraid of heights and likes and things like that, was a massive bonus. It's just so easy to get around. We had a preferred room, and our room was literally on the corner opposite the Skyliner station. So it took us less than 30 seconds to walk down the stairs and be at the Skyliner. But equally, we were probably only 2-3 minutes walk from the main reception for the buses for everywhere else. But the Skyliner is a massive bonus and a very quick way of getting around. And in our opinion, especially at the end of a long day, if you're coming back from Hollywood or Epcot, especially Epcot, you don't have to stand up, you have to sit down. So at the end of a long day, when you are knackered, and you know what it's like, you're queuing for a bus, you get on the bus and it's standing room only, and that's fine, you do it. I have to say, on the Skyliner, they make you sit down, and it is very nice.
I never thought of that. Perfect.
So it was the perfect hotel, and actually we are absolutely planning on staying there again next time.
That's good. And the room, how was the room? Because obviously it had an overhaul a few years ago, didn't it? The room, fairly modern.
Yes,
good
very.
bathrooms.
I've got hundreds of photos if you want them. If anybody wants them, of course. When I last stayed at All Stars, it was pre-refurb, so the rooms were great. They were sort of tidy, they were clean. However, they were looking a bit shabby. They needed updating, and I'd imagine that's probably what the rooms at Pop were like pre-refurb. I have to say, it again for us, it was amazing. The TV is huge. I don't know what size, but it's huge. Not the be all and end all, but actually really nice. The finishings, the floor, it's all kind of hardwood flooring, so it feels a bit less grimy perhaps under the feet. And for us, we had the room set up where you had the Murphy bed, which could come down if needs be, but for us obviously that didn't need to happen. So for us, that gave us so much room. We had the table and chairs, and we had a lot of sort of space to move about in. The beds are tall enough and big enough that we fit 4 large cases underneath one bed, so they were all out the way, so you weren't tripping over your case. And there was loads of storage. I listened to I've joined a group on Facebook and got some tips about sort of maybe buying like hanging shelves, like the fabric ones that you can hang. Bought those. I would recommend that, just especially if you've got a lot of stuff like we did. Pop-up laundry hampers, you name it, I took it, I left it there. But as a room, we didn't have the tub shower, we just had a full length shower with the glass screen doors rather than that big heavy curtain. Everything felt really light, really airy. I'd read things like, the aircon doesn't work properly unless you buy a balloon and it's moving around in front of the sensor. Didn't have that issue whatsoever.
Okay.
yeah, I'd read that and I was like, am I going to have to buy a balloon?
Go and buy a balloon.
That's hysterical. People do come up with some stuff, don't they?
It was,
I've heard that in
Oh.
other rooms as well. We were staying at Boardwalk before,
Yeah.
and we were told this as well. And actually, yeah, and we put like a sticker over the sensor to keep the air conditioning on.
I mean, at no point when we came back was it ever hot or anything. It was
No.
always nice and cool.
yeah,
So we never had any issues with our aircon system in
Nope.
the slightest.
it was great.
I never thought of buying a balloon to solve that.
But is it maybe a ploy? Is it maybe a ploy by
buy a
by
Disney
the
balloon.
Disney
Sell
company
more
to
balloons.
buy one of them balloons on
Yeah.
Main Street? And so when they've got
Oh.
excess balloons, so they basically pull the trigger on the button on everyone's aircon. It's like, haha! Everyone
They
on
probably posted the thing on Facebook.
everyone
This
on
is how you use
Facebook,
it.
Yeah.
everyone on Facebook will go buy balloons. There we go. Sorry, we get rid of all them balloons.
Crazy.
Knowing us, we would have made the mistake and bought one of those light up ones that would have been like a disco at night, you know. But we didn't have.
Yeah.
We
Went to their room. It's that one.
Yeah.
we didn't have any of those issues. Honestly, it was the perfect setup for us. No problems whatsoever. Everything was really well done. All these stories you read on the housekeeping not happening. When I checked in online, I just said, yep, I'll have it every other day. Thank you very much. And that's exactly what happened. And we got towel animals. So we were happy.
Yeah.
Everything was good. I have
That sounds
zero
really
complaints.
Yeah.
It's good to hear.
And did you get a car? Did you go with transportation from the airport? How did you get to the hotel?
So we chose to go with Mears Connect.
How's that?
Great.
It was absolutely
It
fine.
was exactly like Magical Express used to be. No,
Mhm.
very different. Bar you just scan a QR code when you get to the in MCO when you get to the check-in desk, and that's it. You go down the same lines and you stand in the same queues, and it's the same coaches that pick you up. They are the Magic Express coaches. There is no they play a slightly different video, but the bus drivers are all our bus driver was great.
Really
He told us when we were coming up to the entrance, he slowed down. He told everyone, if you want to take a photo, this is when you're going to do it.
Oh wow!
I mean, and he did
That's
say,
cool.
"Yay, welcome to Walt Disney World," and everyone was like, "Woo!" It was great. And then actually, as much as the return is vile, they actually sent me a link to track the driver. They gave me an approximate pickup. They sent me a link
cool.
to track the driver. So we were supposed to be picked up at I think it was like 2:05. At 2:05, I tracked the driver, and he was still at the boardwalk picking up. So I knew where he was. I knew he was on his way. So I didn't panic, because I would have panicked. I would have been like, okay, well, we're not being picked up. What do I do?
We're going to miss the plane.
I'm going to miss it, even though they decided to pick us up 5 hours before our departure time, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous. That would probably be my only complaint, and it's not really a complaint. It was just but to be honest with you, when it's your last day and you've got to leave and you haven't got a room to go back to, you kind of feel a little bit homeless anyway. It was fine. It was absolutely fine, and we got dropped off in time. And actually, I think all in all, we were probably only, if I say, hanging about for about an hour before our departure. So actually, it was fine.
The only thing about that Mears Connect as well, when we landed, is I don't know if they've updated like their information or anything now, but especially when you said it, there was no mention of them stopping at Terminal C as well.
Yeah.
For the new all BA flights coming in. It's only when we actually got on the bus, and I don't think he even told us on the bus. He kind of just pulled up to Terminal C and was like, I've got to make a quick collection.
Yeah.
And then we drove on again, which is only like an extra 5 minutes, but for us, it was absolutely fine, because, we've just landed, we're all happy and wanted to get there, but there was a man in front of us who got very agitated and annoyed by this major inconvenience of having to pick up someone from another terminal.
It's brilliantly entertaining. About that, but I mean, it's little things like that. I'm sure that there might have been something in the small print that I just didn't read, but in all honesty,
Oh, no, it was absolutely
difference,
fine.
no difference whatsoever. I would absolutely book them again, no hesitation.
That's excellent.
That's really
Because
good.
actually, we've done so many shows
Yeah.
about planning for holidays, and also we talked about our own dream holiday, and actually, what you've actually touched on something that I don't think we've actually spoken about, and that is the fact that when you're on Disney holiday, your hotel room is probably it is purely there for sleeping, and the rest of your time you're not even in a hotel, and so why waste so much of your budget when you plan the holiday? Why waste so much of the budget on some of the more premium hotels when actually you're still going to be in the parks? And that to me makes absolute sense, and a really good way of actually bringing down the cost of a holiday. And if anyone has listened to the 1st of June episode, oh dear, we didn't do very well on keeping the costs down. So I think already, Anna, you're one up on all of us anyway. So
It was our dream.
yeah,
trip,
it was.
wasn't
About doing that, a value resort, you and I had that conversation, didn't we, about whether we want to stay at value or
Yeah.
moderate. And
Yeah.
we started, the more we looked into it and the more information we found out, it's like even the fact that you're sleeping on the same mattress and pillows, whether you stay at a value or if you stay at a deluxe one. And like Anna said, the fact that we were there to primarily sleep, it was just like,
Yeah.
it saved us so much more money doing it, and so we
Yeah.
saved people.
I'm not saying I don't want to do that. So I'm not saying no. But if it's the difference between going and not going, or if it's the difference between going sooner rather than later, it's fine with us. You know, if you're the type of person that likes a resort day, I mean, to be honest with you, a resort day at Pop actually probably wouldn't have been that bad, as long as you take the kids out. I'm kidding. But I get it. You know, obviously the more, you know, the nicer the hotel, the more facilities you've got, et cetera. However, for us, it wasn't necessary. We're not pool people. We don't do that. We're there. You know.
I think the closest you and I got to the pool was when we walked past it to go to a reception or go get a bus.
The coffee.
We past that gate. We walked past it, but we never actually went to the boundaries of the pool. Even though at Pop they've got the 2 other pools, not just a hippy dippy where normally primarily the kids are. They got the laptop and another pool, but even we went nowhere near them, did we? And we just
not interested. Thanks. But no.
It is difficult once you stayed deluxe to go back to staying at value.
Yeah,
it's nice, but it's one of those things when you try the experiences, and that's the thing, like you said, Anna. It's like we went over Christmas and we stayed in a value resort. We stayed in All Star Music, and it was just because it was the difference between us doing the trip and not doing it.
I think that's.
Yeah,
I think it's really worthwhile actually pursuing that, and I think that might be something that we can even go on and explore in like future episodes, and just trying to pick out where maybe some of the cost savings can be made when people are planning. Yeah, because I really do feel that I think your trip was purely about being in the parks, and that to me is what is the excitement that you're giving us back. It wasn't about how good the resort was, because actually, why spend time in the resort when you can be in the parks?
See, we spent a lot of time in other resorts for lunchtime. We did a lot of resort hopping. We did that on purpose. I wanted to show Callum, the other resorts, just in case he fancied a different one in the future, just in case. But it was a good way. It was a good way of seeing all the others and spending time and eating different food, and then going back, to where we belong. I mean, it's kind of where we felt more comfortable. I do agree, when you have done deluxe, I kind of started out wrong. I started with deluxe when I first stayed on site, and I kind of wound myself back. Most people do it the other way. It's fine. I like to go against the trend. But I'm not adverse to staying somewhere else. It's just, for us,
was perfect.
It was all we needed, and we decided that we would rather pay more on the flight and fly premium or upper and stay at a value hotel than do it the other way around. That's just us. That's just our opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, if you could do it all, you would. But, you know, for us, that would mean saving for 3-4 years rather than 18 months, 2 years. And so, you know, I'm going to go value and get there quicker. Thank you very much. But each to their own. And that's fine.
Absolutely.
But
you've touched upon the subject that we always end up coming back to, and that is the fact that you went around different resorts and you went to eat. So where did you go? Because that's, to be honest, that was half of the fun of looking at all the pictures on your Instagram. It was just like, how many different meals? And it was suddenly, you're like, oh, wow, that looks absolutely ace. So go on, where did you eat? That's a really good place to go next.
Yeah, it was possibly more a case of where we didn't with resorts, but we did we did the Polynesian. So Polynesian, we actually ate at the quick service. We ate at Captain Cook's. We ate in the Tambu Lounge, and we also ate at Ohana. So I feel like we did that a very good service at the Poly. The Poly will always be my all-time favourite resort, and one day I will stay there. I keep saying that, but one day I will. We ate at Wilderness Lodge. Where else? I'm trying to think.
Animal Kingdom.
Animal Kingdom Lodge. We ate at Caribbean Beach Resort.
Riviera
Resort. That's nice. Riviera Resort's nice. We did quite a few at Disney Springs. Boathouse was my particular favourite. I have eaten there before, but we went for lunch. That was on Claire's recommendation. Thank you, Claire.
I was going to say, I wonder who recommended that one to you. Like,
It was our server, Scott, was just the best server we have ever had.
Also, the fact that, again, touching on the server, when we went in there, it was a really hot day, and Anna was sitting on the table with her fan blowing on her. Scott came up and went, that's a really good idea, because the aircon for the actual restaurant had gone down. And the fact that it was still a hot day and they had no aircon, this guy Scott came over and he was so good, so happy to see us and just be a server for us. So it made that experience even nicer for us, as well as the food being amazing. We just had this amazing server that just was happy to go above and beyond to help us. But he first initially came in and just explained the company to us. And then gave us
the whole story.
And then gave us a few recommendations. And then we ordered a side of mac and cheese. And he was like, I'm going to warn you now, order a small. Because he was like, I had a family of 4 that came in the other day. And they were like, no, we're having a large. They got the large. So I looked at him and went, we're not going to finish that. And Scott just turned around, I told you we weren't going to finish it. You didn't listen to me. But
he was amazing, and I do think that sometimes to be honest with you, we didn't do very many sit down meals this time. Ohana, Boathouse, I think that was kind of it, to be honest. It was mostly quick service, but what I did do is I sort of used my experience, and we very rarely ate in the parks. Animal Kingdom being an exception, I think the quick service in Animal Kingdom is phenomenal. And the food is good. However, with the rest of the parks, Epcot, great, because we were there for Flower and Garden. We ate a lot from the booths. I love the new smokehouse in the American Pavilion. That was nice. That's a lot better than it used to be. And Katsura Grill in Japan, great, absolutely great. But the idea of the resorts, I feel personally that you get a lot more for your money in the resorts, a lot better food and a lot more choice. And it was a really great way of seeing everywhere else as well. So we kind of made the most of, we used extra magic hours. We got a lot done in those times. We got up early and we did that. And we were kind of done by about midday. And that was probably the biggest thing that I noticed than from before, which is obviously you can't park hop at the moment until 2. So you're kind of in a bit of a limbo in the sense that you're kind of done with that park and you want to go to another park, but you can't. So that almost made us go and explore a little bit longer and a little bit more than we would have done perhaps normally. But I'm actually really grateful for that, because we saw a lot more and did a lot more than perhaps we would normally have done. So it worked for us. We would come out, we'd go and eat at a resort, we'd either go to another park or we'd go back and then go back in the evening. We made sure there was enough rest time, because I think that's important to have that time where you are just sat down, especially in the heat of the day. It was particularly hot. And obviously coming from the UK in May when it hadn't been particularly warm whatsoever before we went, it was a bit of a shock. There was one day I think it was like 36, but it felt like 42. At that day I did melt.
I think that's also the day that we walked from Boardwalk to the Yacht Club and Beach Club, and it was both of us melted by the time we got there.
You know, the bit between Boardwalk, Beach Club, Yacht Club, it's quite open. And why is everything light colours? Because everything bounces back at you, and I'm sure it just made it hotter. It was absolutely boiling. But it was just everywhere. I mean, John, the food was superb. That we didn't have a bad meal. We had better meals than others, but there wasn't one that was bad. And I think, for me, I'm really pleased that hasn't gone, that sort of like that level hasn't disappeared from Disney. And I know Callum actually did say to me, I was surprised. I thought it would be a bit more theme parky. I didn't realise there'd be so much choice. And there is. And I think that's where Disney, again, have got it spot on. Is that if you know where to look and you do your research, you can eat really well and you don't have to eat rubbish.
Well, no, but like you were saying about food and how, and many other places we went, like John was talking about earlier, with regards to the fact that when we did it, we got not the dining credit, but we got $504 worth of vouchers to spend on food. How we done it, again, it's not for everyone, but the way Anna and I worked it is the fact that we both like most of the food we both like. We can always share a meal. So what we ended up doing is every lunch we shared a meal at lunch, because when you're in that sort of heat, you're not that hungry. But then when it came to our main meal in the evening, we then both have our own individual meals, and we were really worried about that. They only gave you like they give you $504 for food and then a $200 gift card, and we were really worried that it wouldn't be enough for us. And when we were saving, we were like, right, we need to save more for food and make sure we've got enough. But it got to that point where by the end of the holiday, we were like, we've still got credit left to use. What? So it got to a point where like, we've got money left. We're not sure if we're going to like the plane food. I went and bought a bag of Doritos from the shop. Just had some money to spend.
They're still in my cupboard, by the way. We didn't even have that. But he's right. Sort of just that. We were careful. We didn't go over the top. We are quite conscious of our budget anyway, but I genuinely didn't feel like we went without. We really didn't. No,
but in fact, we also bought snacks in the actual park and that money as well.
And a couple of drinks, maybe. It happens. There's only a couple more people pour out of pocket, but that was intentional. So the food, the service, the drinks, everything, it was still spot on.
I think you've touched upon something that I think is really interesting there, purely of a lunchtime. And because certainly as a family, we struggle with eating in the middle of the day and when it's hot. And it just becomes a real cumbersome thing if you've got like the old dining credits and all that. And I know many people who would eat like 3 meals a day. And I'm just like, I don't know how on earth you could give up the time in the parks, but secondly, how you can actually consume that amount of food in one day. It's beyond me. So to share a dish is an absolutely great idea.
Yeah, And obviously, because of Flower and Garden, we were able to wander the booths. We would, it's a great way of trying stuff without having to have a whole dish. I love Flower and Garden. It's my favourite time of year to visit Epcot. I think it's at its prettiest at Flower and Garden. So the fact that there's food thrown in there as well, absolutely brilliant. But yeah, the whole thing, just that side of it, worked for us. And I genuinely didn't feel like we went without, but we were careful, and I think it worked. It worked for us.
It worked really well.
Callum, can I ask you, because obviously Anna's been to some of these resorts before, which of the resorts that you visited did you like the best?
So,
not Pol, out of all of the others.
So, like Anna, my favourite, and if I ever could, I would stay at the Poly. I love that, the theming of it. The whole time we were there, it was absolutely lovely. But I think that, Poly's my favourite. But every resort we saw was spectacular in its own way. It was just the attention to detail in everything that Disney does, which Anna pre-warned me about.
And pointed out.
And pointed out was absolutely
every single bit. Yeah.
I never forget. I think was it Wilderness Lodge we walked into, and you were like, right, when you walk in, it's the same expression for everyone. Everyone walks in, and then all of a sudden you just look up and you sit, and everyone just goes, "Oh wow!" Yeah. And that generally was my expression. Most of them, I just walked in. Some of them are absolutely breathtaking. How much detail is spent in them, and they're all so pretty in their own way. Yeah. But I'm thankful for the fact that Anna said, right, when we're lunches, we're going to pop out to resorts and see them, because you just get a nice feel for it, and then you can go like we've said, well, I'd like to stay at that one, or I'm not too keen about staying here. But there were some of them.
I'm keen about staying everywhere, so I just want to put that out there.
But even like when we were on the boat coming from Old Key West to Disney Springs, and they had all the treehouse villas and stuff, and it's just you just think, oh my god, they are absolutely amazing. And then looking at pictures and videos of the inside, it's absolutely breathtaking. Some of the rooms, the suites, just all the resorts, to be fair.
You're getting an insight into our evenings here. It's me like this, go, look.
Look at this one. Yeah. All the resorts smell so good as well. They all smell different.
Yes.
And that's half the... Yeah, that bit where you walk into the Wilderness Lodge and the doors are in front of you and you get the waft. It's like, oh my goodness, I know that smell.
Yeah. But obviously, what was quite nice as well is obviously when yourself and Anna go in November, December time, it was really nice. The fact that Anna took me to where you're staying down at Coronado Springs in the tower. It's nice because now when you go and Anna says, "Oh, we're just back at the room," it's nice because I have a feel of where she's actually going to be. And where you guys are, I know what you're doing, what's around you, sort of thing. So that was quite nice as well.
No ulterior motive from me. They're going to have a look to
Three Bridges.
That bring back from Three Bridges.
Check on it. Is it still there? Is it all right?
It's still there.
Did you say this?
There's a little plaque outside that says Claire Casarotto stood here. One time.
Claire, I think your chair's still there.
The wet chair. That's Jason's chair.
Chair's still there. Jason.
I'm really more impressed, though, that with you going in May, this show going out in June, that there's plenty of prior warning for what's about to happen later in the year. And I've got to say, you've given the Disney organization enough time to get stocked up. The amount of gin that's going to get consumed. And the amount of just the amount of cocktails that are going to be drunk. They've got like 6 months to get that bar so stocked for you. Yeah. I'm mighty impressed.
I can't wait.
Oh, it's going to be messy. Did you make it over to Fort Wilderness at all?
We did not. That's one of the few resorts that I actually haven't visited myself either. We may be considering Hoop-de-Doo for next time, though, having recently watched something about it, and both killing ourselves laughing watching it. I think it's probably a bit of a must do for next time. But there's always something. I mean, the amount of times that I've been, I'm now in my 20th something time of going to Disney World, and there's still places I haven't been, there's still places I haven't seen, and there's still stuff I haven't done, and I'm okay with that, because it's not that I need an excuse, and not that I need to give any valid reason for me going, but for myself it's a reason to go back, because I haven't done everything. Not everything is ever going to be done completely, so
there's always something else to go and see,
right,
which is such a nice place to be, in terms of
exactly,
you know that you can go back and you can do something different every time, even if it's just one thing.
yeah,
I remember when we went and I was like, well, I think Millie hadn't ridden on the double-decker bus that went, it might have been Disneyland Paris, or the paddy wagon, or wherever it was.
yeah,
And so we made sure that we did that, or the horse-drawn cart up Main Street in Disneyland Paris, or wherever it is, trying to go to a different restaurant, or you know, just doing something different, doing a different ride, doing something in a different order. Actually just keeps it fresh, and it makes it so much fun to think, well, what haven't I done, rather than, oh, I always do the same thing. So yeah, there'll be stuff that you haven't done, there'll be stuff I haven't done, there'll be stuff that we haven't done together yet.
and stuff that we will do again, like Tower of Terror.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Do we have to?
It's the law.
We need the pictures.
It's the
We need
law.
the pictures of that one.
No, you don't.
Definitely.
You really don't need the picture.
You need the video.
You will hear me screaming here.
It is the best ride in the whole world. I will not.
How did you feel about Tower of Terror, Callum?
Loved it.
I
You have
I
to
absolutely loved it. I remember doing it because when I went for the first time, it was 20 plus years ago. And I remember doing it then and then enjoying it. And the fact that I know it's Anna's favourite ride, I was actually really excited to do it, because I'd completely forgotten most of it, that it was like riding it for the first time again. And all I remember was the first time we were riding it, I was sitting there, and all of a sudden, all I felt was see Anna going. So I was like,
Wonderful.
Yeah, I remember that moment.
and I absolutely
remember that
loved it.
Oh,
The good thing is we've done it multiple times, and no time is ever the same. I remember the last time we done it, we went all through and we were going up, and obviously I was so used to the doors opening and then it dropping, that the doors didn't open and they just dropped, and I was like, what the hell was going on? It's such a good ride, because you get so many different expressions from it. I remember, because there's Anna and I giggling and laughing, you got people behind us screaming, and then one of them, I had a lady sit next to me, the whole time she was holding on for dear life. Like, I swear there was nail marks in the actual handle when we got off. She was holding on that much, but it was an absolutely amazing ride.
it's great.
That sounds like Becca. She absolutely hates it, but I make her go on it every time.
Best ride ever. Honestly, I'm so excited.
I'm with you, Anna. It is the most amazing thing, and irrespective of what new ride comes into Walt Disney World, you suddenly find it's the one you compare anything against, and yet I think Callum, you've hit the nail on the head there. It's the completely unexpected bit. When you think you've maybe got it sorted out in your own mind of, oh, this is going to happen, then something different happens. It's so good. It really is. It's so good.
That hang time that you get as you go back up and you're lifted out is the only time I feel lightweight, to be honest with you. So I'm going to enjoy it.
There was one time we done it as well, and it kind of done this juddering for about 5 seconds, and then it just, without realising, you're going up and down so quick that I swear for about 10 seconds, you and I, we weren't even sitting in our chairs. You're just floating that much. Every time you came off, Anna had this biggest grin on her face. And it was one of the best rides we did there.
Yeah, definitely. Apart from what we will say.
I was going to say, talking of new rides.
Yeah. So we absolutely loved Tron.
Anna's got one of the best photos for Tron.
My hair photos. I look like Marge Simpson's got. I've just got gel and slicked back my hair. Tron was amazing, albeit fairly short to ride. We thought it was absolutely brilliant. And Guardians as well. I loved Guardians. I was truly scared that I might feel ill, having read lots of reports. But I was going to do it anyway. I was fine.
Well, the fact that you had Claire who messaged you saying it's absolutely amazing ride, you'll absolutely love it. And then I think it must have been actually the day before our first day in Epcot. Anna's friend that was out there messaged her when I done 10 seconds on it, had to put my head down and close my eyes because I felt sick. So we're both like, what's the outcome going to be here on this ride?
I actually don't think I did enjoy the first ride, but I was so nervous about getting on it because I was like, what if I get off this and this is going to ruin my whole day? I really don't. I didn't eat. I didn't do anything before, just in case. However, it was amazing.
The first time we'd done Guardians as well, we were so lucky that we got number 2 boarding. So we'd done really 2 rides in the morning. They're like, oh, your boarding's been called. So we went, waited, got in the queue. But as we went on it, we'd done the first little station and then it stopped. And it just stopped. There was no warning of
before you go backwards, it just stopped.
There was no one on like the speaker saying, oh, it's temporary down or anything like that. It just stopped. Yeah. And Anna and I, kind of everyone in our actual car was like, what's going on? Like, is this part of it or what's happening? And then all of a sudden, about 30 seconds, everything comes back to life. We shot backwards. You're like, okay, there it is. But,
it definitely was a thing because the second time we rode it, it didn't do that. And you just know this has been a bit too long for this not to be part of the ride. It was absolutely brilliant. I can't.
Pre-shows are good, aren't they?
Oh,
pre-show bit for Guardians is
brilliant. Even though the
Terry Crews.
Terry Crews, you can't. I mean, who doesn't love Terry Crews?
Like I said to Anna when we done it, all the queues in Disney are really well themed that you don't feel like you're in a queue for some of them. I know that the pre-show is part of the queue, but you completely forget that you're in a queue, and then all of a sudden you're just in this show, and it completely takes away that you've been standing around for half an hour, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, even more for some rides. But the way it's all themed as well, it doesn't make you feel like you're just standing there in a queue being bored.
The bit that got me, that literally took my breath away, was in Tron, where they tell you when you go into the room and they say prepare to be digitized, and the whole screen kind of does a thing and then it disappears and there's the ride. You actually see the ride. And I remember going, oh, wow. So literally so cool. Absolutely brilliant. Can't sort of pick them up enough. If you like a ride, then you're gonna love them. But for us, that it was brilliant. The virtual queue thing did stress me out, not gonna lie. Just trying to get being prepared at 5 to 7, refresh. I'd read all the things and all the tips. We were willing to pay. Turned out we didn't have to, which we were very grateful for.
That's good.
And that sort of probably rolls on quite nicely into Genie Plus, because that was another thing that sort of slightly bothered me going back, because obviously it's brand new, it's a different thing. We didn't pay for it once, and we did everything more than once. I appreciate that the time of year that we went was probably a slower time of year, first sort of couple of weeks in May, so the spring break had done or Easter had done, and it's sort of before Memorial Day. So we were in probably a bit of a sweet spot with regards to crowds. The longest we queued for anything, and it was by choice, was 50 minutes for Flight of Passage, but that was probably like our third time riding it, and it was just because that's what we wanted to do.
Exactly. Wasn't it?
The rest of the time, we were averaging probably 20-minute queues, even for Rise of the Resistance. Now, admittedly,
I was going to say, what about Rise?
Admittedly, I had done my research and I went into it knowing that we were going to be using the extra magic hours for our own benefit. I wasn't adverse to paying for Genie Plus whatsoever, and I did my research on that too. But I was more of the mindset of, well, let's see what we can do in the first week, and then we'll make a decision in the second week and see if we need it. And as I say, I do appreciate the time of year that we went, and circumstances might be very different on another trip. However, for us, making the most of extra magic hours and being there probably about 20 minutes, half an hour before extra magic hours start, and as we all know, they let you in before that. We did Rise twice.
Yeah.
And the first time we walked on it, and the second time we queued for probably about 10 minutes.
And in true
that long to walk through.
Literally just straight through, and
just walk through all the bits.
Yeah.
But also on Rise, in true Anna fashion, she not only did she get told off by the first order, she got told off by the resistance as well. So she got told off by both sides.
I did. I'm my own person. I answer to no one.
Amazing. That's impressive.
But yeah, I mean, as I say, we weren't. I just did my planning. It wasn't military precision. We weren't tied to anything.
No.
However, what I did was I made sure we had enough sort of starts in the park. For example, Hollywood Studios, we did 3 days of early starts there so that we could concentrate on doing everything in Galaxy's Edge on one day, everything in Toy Story Land on another, and then kind of the Tower of Terror, Runaway Railway on the other day. And by doing that, we did them. For example, the day that we did Rise, we did Millennium Falcon, we did Toy Story Mania and Tower of Terror.
Wow.
We'd done all of that by 9:30.
And then we were quite lucky actually, because on that same day, we'd done that all in the first hour and a half. It was only about another half an hour, 45 minutes after that we then done Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, because we decided to stop, have a little break, I think we got a Joffrey's.
Have a Joffrey's coffee.
So we sat down kind of near Mickey and Minnie's because it was actually down at the time. And then as soon as it came up, we ran straight over. And again, we walked straight into it, done the pre-show, and that was it. But again, I will take no credit for this whatsoever, but this was all down to Anna's planning. And at no point, like she said, it didn't feel military. It was all planned out well, that it kind of all just naturally flowed quite well into the next part of the day as well.
Yeah. So
you sound like you just optimized your time.
We really
you
did.
looked
That's exactly
how to make the most out of the opportunities of being there early, without having to spend extra money. And that, you know what, that is worth the time. People don't necessarily want to spend that time or don't know how to do it. So I think that the fact that you actually get up, you do get in 20 minutes, 30 minutes before the park opening, even if that is extra magic hours. So you get that opportunity to get nearer to the ride that you're going to go on. They don't open the queue line in time, but you can be in the vicinity, and that can save you so much time. So that's a fantastic tip, actually, to be up and be ready. I know there are people who choose to go into the parks later in the day and stay late into the evening.
That's fine.
Who don't like early starts.
Yeah,
that's fine. They can do that, but we'll be there at 7:30, enjoying it.
And we were, and as I say, which meant that by like 9:30, 10, we could actually stop, take a moment, have a coffee, have a snack, do whatever we wanted to do, chill out for a bit, and then we do some of the other rides that people still weren't heading to because they're still at the headliners. So we were doing the other things at that point, and then at that point that was time for us to leave, and then I say go resort hopping, and then sort of make a decision for the rest of the day. And that's kind of how we did it for the whole holiday, and it worked brilliantly for us. And as I say, we didn't have to or felt like we had to purchase it at all, which is great.
That's great.
Well, like you said, the only time we were going to purchase anything like that was the Lightning Lane, which we were going to do on our last full day if we didn't get in the virtual queue for Tron.
Yeah,
so we'd only done it once that time. So we're like, right, if we can't get in the virtual queue, we'll pay for this because we think it was worth the money to do it again.
Yeah.
But apart from that, if like you guys say, if you plan it well, you can get it done without having to use Genie Plus.
Yeah. Each to their own.
Ben, are you looking forward to Tron now?
Oh, I can't wait. I'm so excited.
How are you going to manage your hair? How are you going to manage your hair?
Funny. I'm looking forward to seeing Becca's picture though. I can't wait.
I
just
saw
looks
Anna.
great.
Anna sent me the picture of her and Callum on Guardians. And you know what? I sent her a message saying, I'm such a bad friend. I completely forgot to tell her to tie her hair back. Because all you see is like her, it's just like hair.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I was like, next time tie your hair back. It really does help. I completely forgot to tell you, and I felt awful when I saw the picture, but I laughed a lot, I have to say.
I'm so envious of you, Ben, going soon. We
I know.
honestly.
The day this show goes out will be at the Grand Floridian.
Oh, well, there
No.
we
Well,
go.
I hope it's raining.
That'd be nice.
I don't mean it.
We'll be at Citrico's or Enchanted Rose. So.
Oh no, Enchanted Rose, they do great cocktails, Anna, just saying.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Maybe. Might have to stick it on there. Little monorail crawl.
Oh, wow.
Crawl. I think could be in order. I know some friends will join us for that. In terms of, I was just going to say the things like Mickey and Minnie's. Obviously, that there was a few new ride experiences for you. Out of all of that new stuff that has happened since 2019 and Callum in the last 20 years, what do you think has surpassed your expectation in terms of whether that be ride technology or theming or, you know, some of the old, like you talked about Tower of Terror and how it's amazing. And we all know that the theming of Tower of Terror is just incredible and it's reliable and it's consistently good for most people. Not everyone, but, you know, if you love it, you love it. There's lots of new rides with different styles of technology, whether that be, you know, obviously the Ratatouille ride for Walt Disney World is only a couple of years old, but for Paris is a bit longer. So I know that you've done that anyway. But in terms of the newer attractions at Walt Disney World, what surprised you in terms of how good it is?
I mean, it's difficult because when I first went, I don't remember much from it. Like I was saying to Anna, I don't ever remember doing the classics. Like I never done Small World, Pirates, Jungle Cruise, anything like that. So not only was all the new rides new for me, all the old classic rides were new to me as well.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Some of the theming, like what they've done for Tron, is absolutely, and Guardians and the new rides like Rise is absolutely amazing. How they also in Smuggler's Run, some of the stuff I found out, how they actually fit everyone in as the cockpits rotate round without you realizing is amazing. But even just like down to the little things, like the theming in the Small World, where, you know, it's been there since day one, and the fact that they still haven't fixed the hula girl that goes crazy the whole time just makes me giggle.
I love that hula girl. Extra, and I love it.
Lazy eye. Just the little things like that just makes it. It made it so good, and I think I can't pick one thing that just stuck out for me. But like when you're in Galaxy's Edge, and there was a point for you as well. The theming's so well that you hear noises go over you, and Anna was actually like, "Is that actually a plane above me?" But it's just noise of a space.
Yeah, right. It's like, oh, what was that?
I'll never forget. It was our first day in Animal Kingdom, and we were walking into Pandora, and all Anna said to me was, "Right, listen to how it changes, and how you go from Africa into Pandora, and that noise just goes."
Yeah.
You hear Africa, you hear it fading behind you, and as you're walking into Pandora, you hear that coming in. You just got to say, Disney have got everything down to a T with their theming. It's just outstanding, all of it. All of it took my breath away, basically. There was no one thing that stood out for me. It was down from the small original rides to the brand new, all singing, all dancing rides. Everything just put a smile on our faces.
I have to say, for me, I totally agree. And it was fun for me to point those things out to someone who doesn't know, because like I think my mum just gets a bit like, yeah, I know. But those things excite me. They're hidden magic, and all of that theming. are the bits that impress me the most. I love the rides, don't get me wrong, and I love going, and I love, I love all of that. But and there are some nostalgic rides, that will forever sort of hold a place in my heart. Jungle Cruise, Haunted Mansion, Pirates, Big Thunder. I love all of those. But to be able to show someone, that, look at that, listen to that, did you see that? And the hippo with the lazy eye, God love her. Those things, make up everything for me. I have to say, for me, returning was just the best bit anyway. And I'm so disappointed in myself for saying this, because you all know I'm not a massive Star Wars fan in the slightest. Sorry, Morgan, but I'm not. But Rise was phenomenal. The theming there, the immersiveness of, you don't know, am I on the ride yet? Am I still in the queue? And as a Star Wars novice, for sure, I've watched enough to know, but I haven't watched them all. Appreciate that. However, as someone who doesn't quite get it, I got it. As in, what's happening, who the baddies are, who the goodies are, you absolutely understand what's happening. And that is what Disney is all about. It's inclusiveness, because whether you understand it or not, you feel included. And I did. Yeah. And as Callum said, I did get told off by both sides, which quite impressive.
Just misbehaved. I am quite slightly impressed. And I think you hit the nail. That's right. You're on the naughty step, and I'm not. I think that's the that is the key, isn't it? It is inclusive, and I'm like you. I'm not a massive Star Wars fan. I found Rise to be utterly incredible. I think the first time you ride it, or the first time you ride it with someone who hasn't been on it before, because obviously I had the experience where I'd done it on my own, and then I went on it with like Morgan and Millie and Dan, and watching Morgan particularly, who's a massive Star Wars nerd, he was like, he couldn't speak for about an hour afterwards. And just looking at his expression, he was just like, his mouth was open, and he was like, and the whole thing was totally overwhelming. And that the ability to create that in a 23-minute attraction experience, is incredible. Just to feel all the emotions and all the things that you feel. So I get that. I think that there is something about those classic attractions that just make you feel warm and fuzzy a little bit, maybe.
Definitely. Definitely.
Callum, did you laugh at the Jungle Cruise jokes?
He did.
I did. We did have. Was it our first?
Just second. He did. He did laugh.
Because I know a few of the little puns and jokes they make. I still laugh, but it was such a nice experience, because I know they go off a script, but I know they also add little bits in here and there.
Yeah.
And our first skipper was just absolutely amazing, and I was sat right next to him for the first one, and he did have me in stitches up there, just going around, even just the cheesy little puns they make, just because of where it is and what they're doing it for, it just makes you smile and giggle. Yeah. And I am normally one that Anna will say like a pun to me, and I just sit there with this face like, what's not funny? It makes me giggle and laugh, and I had such a good time on it as well.
So clearly that means I'm not quite a Jungle Cruise skipper level. So must work harder. But yeah,
I think if you like Jungle Cruise, then Hoop-de-Doo should be the next experience for you, because that's very similar in terms of joke caliber.
Easy. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Right.
Oh yeah.
It was.
Oh my goodness. And so what was the? I'm going to ask him. What was the best bit of your trip?
Well, I mean, yeah. So there were several. We had Ohana booked. I've eaten at Ohana before, but only for breakfast. We had dinner plans. When I booked that, I got
coconut races.
I got chatting to the guy at Disney Reservations and basically just sort of kind of explained what Ohana means to us both. You can see from our menagerie behind us, Stitch is our
all the stitches.
All the stitches. The point is actually genuinely not all of them. But you know,
I know.
Ohana has a meaning. We all know what the meaning is, but for us, it means a lot. So to eat there, it's the Polynesian, which is like my all-time favourite resort. And I wanted to for Callum to experience that, and for us, we did it halfway through the holiday. It was exact sort of midway point. It sort of ticked all the boxes for us, but obviously the time that we booked it for, the fireworks were going off. They sort of play happily ever after. They sort of piped that music in. You know, when you have one of those sort of like, again, one of those surreal moments of this is actually happening, I'm seeing this, I'm sat there stuffing my face.
Did you get the electric water pageant?
Oh yeah, we did the water pageant. Then obviously I had to explain that because that was
the 8-bit heartbeat of wonder.
There was a history of the electric water pageant for Callum happening.
Yeah.
Then we went down to the beach and we spent some time down there, and it was just truly perfect. But we had Claire knows this, absolutely knows this piece of information, so she's not going to be surprised by this. But on that evening, it was made so much better. Because we actually got engaged on that evening as well.
Wow!
Congratulations.
Just perfect for us.
Oh,
So
absolutely amazing.
I think I have told everyone. My mum knows it's all good.
People that need to know. By the time you've got till the 15th of June to make sure everyone knows.
But yeah, it was sort of the icing on the cake. I mean, I genuinely didn't see it coming. I didn't have a clue. Absolutely, of course, it was a highlight. But the whole trip was just something else. It was a long time coming. Everything, I didn't take anything for granted at any point when I was like a bit like, oh my goodness, I'm so hot and I need to stop. I was like, stop it, think about where you are, suck it up, girly, and carry on.
Get on with it.
Because, you know,
enjoy yourself.
Drink for this. But also you want to be here. And I did. And I think, you know, we found a happy medium. We were up early. Yes, we did the rides, and yeah, you know, we sort of churned it out. But at no point did it feel like, you know, we were on a schedule and we had to do this and you have to be there and you have to do that. And again, sort of not booking hundreds of ADRs helped with that, because we could change our plans at the last minute.
Yeah.
We met up with friends whilst we were there, friends who watched the show we met up with. We had a great night in Trader Sam's, lots of alcohol.
Did you order the Oa?
We have the
Oa. We throw the cinnamon into the flames and the water pistol and the you know, the alligator on the lead, all of the brilliant stuff. It's so much fun.
I've never, you know, cocktail and a show. Who needs hoop-de-doo? I mean, you've got it at Trader Sam's.
It is. Well, you know what? I think Trader Sam's. Everyone talks about Trader Sam's, and like the secret of Trader Sam's is don't talk about Trader Sam's. It's a bit like Fight Club, and I think that if you get the opportunity to go, even just for an hour for one drink, being in that environment. And seeing all the interactions, and the cast members there are incredible, and it's just so much fun.
I would love to work there. I've decided, you know,
that'd be your cast member choice. Role of choice.
A rubber ring duck, you know, you name it. With my snorkel.
Rubber ring, water pistols. You'll be well away.
I can do that. But you know, just everything that we did kind of felt natural to the holiday. It didn't feel forced. We were happy to be there. We were devastated to leave. not gonna lie. And the only thing that made me feel slightly better when I left, sorry, Callum, was the fact that I know I'm going there with Claire.
Oh,
I think
that's
And
so
it'll
good.
be a different kind of trip
it's the
because we're
only
going
way
for
to,
we're only going for 6 days.
it will be totally different, but it's the only way to be able to leave is to know that you're coming back. And I, I'm so sad that it took us so long to get back there, but stuff happens. COVID happened, but it was totally worth the wait. And it's just reignited that passion that I always knew it was still there, but it has reignited it for us. And obviously, as I say, got engaged. So I feel like,
fabulous.
the wedding has to happen there too, right?
Okay.
Callum, has she told you what I said to her? So I don't know.
Yeah,
Ben,
so she told me about the Italy Pavilion dream. So it was
Right.
quite,
So this is
it was quite nice because when
bizarre, isn't it?
after obviously it happened, the next couple of days we took a nice couple of days to be ourselves and chill out with it, and then we started telling people, and then I rung my aunt, and funny enough, we were actually sitting in the Italy Pavilion when I rung her. And she was all excited. And what I said to her was like, look, this is where we're gonna be getting married because Anna's friend Claire had a dream about it. But what I then did say was that Claire has nicely going to pay for it for us because we can't do
that. Right. So this is the thing that before Anna and Callum went, I said to Anna, I had a dream about your trip, and I had this. I swear to you, it's like clear as day, and I had no knowledge of this. I hadn't had a conversation with either of them, certainly not anything about it. And I had this really clear dream that they were going to get engaged while they were there, and they were going to get married, not just engaged, in the Italy Pavilion on that bit. The bit on the lagoon side where the gondola and stuff are. That's where it was all happening. And there was all these beautiful photos of the Italy Pavilion in the background. But I had this. It was clear as day, and I said to Anna, I had this dream about you. You're going to get, and she was like, "Oh yeah." And then, like a week later, she's messaging me going, "This has just happened." I was like, "I told you."
At least the wedding pictures will be amazing without the barges in it.
Yes, the barges have gone.
Barges have gone. They're all good.
What's quite amusing is once Anna and I got engaged, because obviously because Anna's friends are over there, and obviously Anna and Claire are going, their Disney experiences are all linked together. So this really difficult thing of it. Anna went down to reception at Pop and got some badges made for us. So we were in Animal Kingdom and had some photos with these badges. And then all of a sudden I turned around and went, aren't your friends linked to this and can see our photos and stuff? And this just kind of came on Anna's face. Was like, oh no. So it's quite amusing trying to arrange that and make sure people couldn't see them. We had to hide a few so no one found out before the parents found out.
Oh,
yeah, no, I didn't even think of looking. I wouldn't, because I genuinely didn't know that anything was going to happen. But how funny! That's hysterical. Absolutely. So, that is such an exciting thing to now be having on the horizon.
Yeah.
And a potential another trip next year, maybe, for all the celebrations and fun, and the next trip to think about how you're going to do it. What would you say is the top of your list to go back to?
That's a good one. You're throwing me.
That's
unusual, isn't it?
I'm full of good things.
We're good at throwing questions in there.
And it has nothing to say. That has never happened.
Wow.
Literally somewhere. I think.
What's going to be the first thing on your list?
Do you know what? I think, funnily enough, and I'm not just saying this, for us to go back, doesn't matter where we stay, what we're doing, for us to go back, and we're already talking about it going back maybe September next year, for our next trip. staying in the same place because we were happy there. But for us, I think because, as Callum was just saying, we had our photos done Animal Kingdom in Pandora. I actually kind of think that's now kind of a thing for us. That's kind of our place. That's where we celebrated it. And so for me, I think, and also this time, first day it didn't have to be, but we chose for it to be Magic Kingdom because it's quintessentially Disney, Cinderella Castle. You kind of go there on your first day. But now we've done that and we've kind of ticked the box. I actually now think for us, Animal Kingdom holds a little bit of a place in our heart because we celebrated there. We were in our own little bubble still. No one knew. It was just us and the photo cast.
Amazing. And all the people that could see your photos of my Disney.
Amazing.
Well, I think that is actually kind of top of our list, but we have actually said, there are places that we would like to go next time. Please don't hate me, Claire, or shoot me down, anyone else, but we actually didn't get to go to Nomad Lounge this time, and it's probably
we'll make up for it.
It's always the next one.
One of my regrets. One of my regrets.
We'll deal with that.
Yeah.
We'll deal with that.
Don't worry, Anna. We've never made it here yet.
Honestly, I absolutely love it there, but there was just never the right time. It never kind of just fell into.
I have a list of places we're going to go. Charlie Lounge, Nomad Lounge.
Absolutely, there's a lot of lounges. I'm okay with that.
Tambu Lounge.
But yeah, so for us, I think it's just, when we go back, it'd be nice to do Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. That'll be something new for Callum to experience. But it's
you're going in June, did you say?
Yeah, June, January.
Yeah.
So normally
you can go to Food and Wine. You got Food and Wine as well in September.
Yeah, which I've never done. I've done Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween. I've never done Food and Wine. So there's lots of things that we will go back for because they now have a memory for us, but lots of new things to go back for too. But it's just, when you say, "Oh, you're going back?" Yeah, I'm going back. Yeah, I'm going back to Disney, and it's going to be a whole new thing next time. It will be a whole totally different holiday. But we've now got kind of like a ground level to work up from servers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I'm going to have to do next time to, make this one even more special.
Oh dear.
Has been set very high.
I don't know if it's Barbie and says it's a slippery slope, Callum. I mean, just be aware it's a slippery slope. Most of it.
Maybe a VIP tour. We kind of top it. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Just saying. Carry the Giants is cheap. I just, do you know what? I'm so excited for both of you in terms of the future and, future trips, future life. It's amazing. And I'm so grateful that you were happy to share it with us tonight. So thank you.
Yeah. And congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us both tonight, Anna and Callum. As we mentioned at the beginning of the show, we have some great things in the pipeline, including our weekly Wafflers Wednesday live shows, which are every Wednesday at 8:30 on our YouTube channel. So if you enjoyed the show today, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss any of our future content. So we'd also appreciate it if you would share the show with friends and family who enjoy talking about Disney as much as we do. So you can come and join us in the Wafflers Arms, our Facebook community where we all get together to share Disney news, trip countdowns and lots more. You can also find us on the socials, Instagram, Facebook and TikTok at GB Mickey Waffle. So thank you again for joining us today. And there's just one thing left to say.
Anna and Callum are going to get married.
Congratulations!
Waffle on.